That tiny little SOT23 guy is an AO3400 N-Channel MOSFET, and it should turn on with 1 volt. And yeah, we've looked at this guy before, and he's been a very interesting guy indeed. But one of the things that freaked me out about looking up the specs was that this little thing was supposed to be able to handle around 6 amps of current, 4.9 I think continuous, which is sort of outrageous actually. Yeah, so I thought what a good idea to try and maybe solder some of these up and blow them up. I've got a couple of these big DC motors hanging around, which I picked up from like a recycling center. So we'll see that this says 24 volts DC. So we'll have to sort of separate it out somehow. But what we'll do is we'll make up a circuit, which will maybe test to see if these things can pump through that sort of current. And I think also they're supposed to be rated to 30 volts. I mean, surely not. Yeah. Also, elephant in the room, I've been missing for a little while. In fact, I want to say at least 100 days since I've posted last. So my apologies for that. There are probably 4 main reasons, and we might weave some of these in and out of testing the AO3400 as well. First one is retirement. So yeah, I am now officially retired. Probably a little early. But and we could dive deep on this in a future video, but you know, you get to a point where, yeah, sure, you can keep going back to work, but how much of your soul is leaving your body every day when you do that? So 40 years of getting up at 6 in the morning and putting on a tie and trudging off to work is probably enough in this case, let's say. So this has taken up a bit of time, and for those of you who've retired, you'll know what I'm talking about, but the transition is not as simple as just walking out one day and everything is good. So that took up a bit of time. Now let's have a look at this, some of these specs. So 5.8 amps and 30 volts, exclam. Yeah, not really sure if that's going to be possible. Look at these tiny little legs here. I just can't see how they can handle these sorts of voltages and amps. That's a lot of power going through. The circuit that I propose here is 24 volts coming through to a motor, a little flyback diode, because this is inductive, so this will kick back when the motor turns off, and that could destroy everything. There's our MOSFET with our gate, drain and source, and probably on the gate side a little resistor going down to ground, and then a signal coming through which winds up from nothing through to 1 volts, which should hopefully see this motor kick on. And in terms of gate, drain and source, that is supposedly the configuration for these guys. I think the first thing to do is to probably solder these up and see if we can get them to work with maybe something as simple as an LED. Let's do that. All soldered up, and just to test to make sure that I haven't killed them in the soldering process, I put them through the handy dandy tester, and they've all come back as MOSFETs, which is what you want. Next in the big 4, let's do this one, which should be pretty straightforward, which is a big holiday season. So of course we've had December and January. We're now into February 2025, and December, Christmas, lots of visitors came through, which was great, but yeah, we love visitors, but of course there is a time investment there. So yeah, that's one of the things. And also through January, well, we had a 34-year anniversary, which was pretty cool. And my birthday is end of January as well. So you put all that together, and amazingly, and I don't know why, Tasmania this particular summer has put on the most gorgeous weather, and I've been taking the puppies down to the beach most days, which you know, driving down and romping in the surf, and then coming back, washing the dogs and all that sort of stuff. It's probably about a 2 or 3 hour turnaround. Doesn't sound like much, but that takes a fair chunk out of your day as well. So beautiful, beautiful summer. There's been a lot of social engagements, few live music gigs that we've been to. It's just been a magic summer. And sadly, in all of that, the channel has taken a bit of a back burner. Yeah, that's the big holiday season, which has contributed to the long delay between videos. All right, let's make that LED circuit and see if we can't actually turn on something using this MOSFET. A simple LED circuit to test to see if the MOSFETs are working. So I've got 0.5 volts coming through here with a common ground, and then I've got a 1N, I think it's a 4001, which is a diode which should drop the voltage down to practically nothing, and I've got a 10K resistor there going down to ground. So I think when I measured that, it was something like I think it was like 0.05 volts or less, actually 0.01 volts, so practically nothing. So basically that means that the MOSFET should be off. And then on the other side I've got 12 volts coming in, and via this, I think this is a 22 ohm resistor and a little, I think that's a 3 watt LED there. So what should happen as I wind this up is that should possibly go on. Oh, that's winding the wrong way, I think. There we go. So at some point we should see the MOSFET turn on. So up to 1.1 volts on this side, but probably something like 0.5 or 0.6 on the other. We could possibly measure. Oh, there we go. I see some light. So yeah, that looks like it's working pretty well. And then it's pretty much fully on. That's pretty bright. I'm not sure what you're seeing on the camera, but that's pretty bright. And then back down again. Should turn that sucker off. So that's good. That seems to be working okay. I'll put the others in as well to make sure that they're working. So that's proof of concept that we can get the MOSFET to actually turn something on, and then we'll put it on the big inductive load. While we're here, let's have a look at this one here, and I'll put a timestamp here so you can skip forward if existential crises aren't really your thing. But I will say probably about 7 or 8 months ago now, I started to experience some problems with my vision, and I went in to see an optometrist who panicked a little bit and sent me to an ophthalmologist who panicked a lot and sent me off for an MRI. And it turns out that I have a pituitary gland tumor, which was growing to the point where it was actually impacting on, I think, what's called the chiasm, which is where the optic nerves cross over, and that's why I was getting some vision problems. So everyone went into full-on panic mode. Not so much me, because, you know, what's the point? But the panic was, do we scoop it out using a spoon or something like that? Or I actually ended up working with a very talented endocrinologist. Funny story about that. He actually works as an OBGYN as well. And so when I went in there to meet him, I was surrounded by pregnant women, which was a little disturbing for them and me. But anyway, when I went to see this endocrinologist, he said, hey, how about we try this magic pill? Now, I haven't Googled any of this. Honestly, it's quite remarkable, but I haven't Googled anything about pituitary glands or tumors or the medication or anything. But 4 days after taking the medication, my vision started to improve. And after doing lots of tests, it turns out, because the pituitary gland is in charge of a lot of things. So, for instance, how to describe it? For me, it's a little bit like when you walk into one of those old style big churches with the massive church organs, and in the corner or down the front, there's a little person pushing on the keyboards, and that's making that extraordinary sound. So the pituitary gland is a little bit like that. So my talented musician on the keyboard was replaced by a baboon. That's probably how best to describe it. So my hormone levels were all over the place. And after taking this medication, they all returned to normal too. So I've sort of got my life back a little bit, but it's been a bit of a ride. And if I had any words of advice for particularly guys my age, but I presume it applies to everyone, is to, from time to time, if you're having some difficulties with things like your sleeping patterns, your weight, so my weight shot up a fair bit, with things like your moods and your energy levels, all this sort of stuff, please go and get some simple tests. Something like, for blokes, for instance, a testosterone level check would have got this one, nipped this one in the bud probably 6 to 12 months before it became a crisis. It's still ongoing, and it will be for a number of years, I suspect. I'm not out of the woods yet. I'll keep you posted on that one, but it did soak up a lot of time, and it still does soak up a bit of time. I'm trying to get myself fairly healthy now in case I do have to go in and have the ice cream scoop in my head. It's a shocking bit of surgery, I'm led to believe. 2 surgeons required, an ear, throat guy and a neurosurgeon working in tandem. So that's something which I'd really like to avoid. But if I do have to go in, I want to be fairly fit, so I'm working on that as well. So that's the third reason why we've had a bit of a break. Now I'm going to swap out the LED here for this monster, pump it up to 24 volts. And really what I want to do is test that this thing can really handle a lot of amps, but hopefully just blow it up, because isn't that what we're all here for? Oakley dokley. So we've swapped out the LED for this 24 volt monster DC motor, and I do have 24 volts coming through to the rail now. I've got a flyback diode in there, and then I've got a connection going from that to my my drain. Okay, so that should be hopefully that should hopefully be working the same as the LED. Let's give it a bit of a burl. So we're at 0.5 volts. Let's just wind that up a little bit and see what happens. I'm really nervous about this. I don't know why. Am I winding the wrong way again? And now it's gone off. I feel as though I'm winding the wrong way. Oh, we've also got the light on, which is probably not helping. Come on, man. You've got one job. Here we go, 0.6, 0.7, nothing showing on the power supply here, supplying this rail that anything's happening at the moment. 0.8, still nothing. 0.9, 1 volt. I'm really curious to measure what's coming on the other side, because we haven't done that yet. Let's do that. Can you see that okay? So let's get this out of the way. Let's make it up to 2 volts, should be fine. So we've got, if I put one here, so coming on this side is, 1 volt as advertised. And then on the other side is, there you go, so 565 millivolts. So that is dropping it down nicely. Okay, cool. Let's keep winding up and biting our fingernails. What's going to happen? 1.1, still nothing. 1.2, it's gone off again because drama. 1.3. Didn't remember what the LED went on. Was that 1.3, 1.4? Still nothing. Have I connected this up right? I think this keeps failing because it's out of juice. Of course it is. Come on, man, you can do it. 1.5, 1.6, nothing. 1.7, we should be getting close to turning this thing on now, but I'm getting nothing. I might go and juice this guy up again and we'll come back. I think that could be the issue. That power bank was as dead as a dodo. So that's what happens when you don't do anything for 100 days or more. Things stop working. So I've got the most illegal, that's probably why it's off screen, but also short cables, USB supply here. So we're back to 0.5 volts and looking strong. So you just have to trust me on what voltage that we're looking at. I'm just going to wind this up again. Or it might help we've got some power, 24 volts back up and running. Be really interested. Oh, is anyone shouting? Is anyone shouting? Look at this. This is not even in there. When did that come undone? All right, so let's wind it back in. Wow. Yeah, no limits to human stupidity here. All right, I've started back at 0.5 again. Wow. Okay, so here we go. 0.6. Can everyone see what's going on? Yeah, it looks good. 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. Still not getting anything just yet. So 1 volt, which should be around about 0.4. I think around about 0.5 it turns on. We've got 1.2 volts. 1.3, still nothing. Whoa. There we go. All right, so 1.3 volts. Let's just see what's going on. It's just ticking over. It says an indicated current coming through of about 1/4 amp. So let's see what's going through here. So yeah, 1.4 volts on that side and 0.8 on this side. 0.8, yep. So that's good. If I wind that back again. Uh-oh. Okay, so I wound that right back and it hasn't turned off. That is not a good sign. So we've got 0.5 volts on this side and probably practically nothing on this side. Yeah, 0.1. And this is still on. So you know what that means? I've cooked it. One way to find out, we'll just take this guy out. And we've got the handy dandy tester here. I was expecting flames, but it might just be cooked. Let's have a look. Tester says, yeah, look at that, not known or damaged part. I have just blown that up. Let's check another one. These were all good to start with. Let's try this. Is this okay? That is also damaged. That's cooked. Is this okay? Do we have one left? We have one left. Okay, all right, so back to 0.5 volts again. What went wrong? Well, that was a little kick then. That's interesting. Is that enough to actually... Is it something to do with the inductive load maybe? Heap of very smart people out there watching this. So if you can see any issues with the circuit, look at that. It's got a little bit of residual. I mean, maybe I should put this through a capacitor. Would that work? Yeah, I'm not really sure. Okay, let's wind it back up again. So, I mean, possibly the difference between, I'm just thinking, I'd have to check the data sheet again, but I'm thinking maybe the difference between the gate and the drain voltage might be too much. From memory, thinking back, I think it was around 12 volts, and I've got way too much there. I've got 24, so maybe I need a smaller motor. While this is still working, I'm going to go grab a smaller motor. Maybe I'm just blowing it up because I'm reaching that threshold. I'll get back to you. All right, so I think this is 6 volts. I've certainly got 6 volts coming in on the rail. And so we'll just wind this guy up again from 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 1.1, 1.2. If it's still working, now's your time, mate. Now's your time to shine. 1.5. Okay. Might help if I connect this up correctly. Yeah, so we want this coming in on this side and this side, I think. Because we were back to front. Of course we were. Everything's happening today. All right, let's try this again. Should I check to see if I haven't cooked this already? So many things to cook today. This is the last one. Mind you, I can always solder a couple more up for lols. So this says, still good, still good. Happy days. All right, pump that back in there again. And here we go. 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. Come on, man, you can do it. 1.3. Is that 6 volts? If it's 12, then, oh, here we go. Something just happened. Okay, yeah. So that's interesting. I'm reading more than, I had this current limited at 1 amp. And that's interesting. So something has blown here. I had that current limited at 1 amp, and that's the limiter was kicking in. So there was current flowing through here. Let's go again, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. There we go. Oh, yes. So 1.7 volts indicated, which probably means around 1 volt, which should be about fully turned on. And I've got half an amp going through. Nice. 1.7 volts. Can I put that down without it wandering? All right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. So on the one side, ground here, and on this side we've got, 1.8 volts, and on our gate side we've got 1.3. It should be pretty much fully turned on. And this little guy, the SOT23 guy, the last survivor, is allowing half an amp. Even that's surprising. Half an amp and 6 volts is still a little bit of power. Should we crank it up some more? I mean, it would be nice to see it blow. Hear that thing wind up. I don't think we're going to get more than half an amp out of those. Just sitting pretty comfortably at half an amp. I reckon that's fully open. Nice. And this time maybe I haven't blown it up, because if I wind this back, it should stop, and it does. So the MOSFET lives. So yeah, that was a problem with the drain to gate voltage being way too much in that last instance. Still a little disappointing that I wasn't able to crank this up to 6 amps, but there's possibly maybe like a string of LEDs, or maybe a 12. If I can spot a 12 volt motor, I will try that. I'd be interested to know if you can try your own experiments on this little guy. It's weird that when I was looking at this thing up, it said something like it's obsolete now. How can it be obsolete when it's so clever? I guess the good thing is that you could probably pick them up for a song. The downside is very small individuals. So that's an issue for old man eyes and for some applications, but still very useful. Before we finish up, I think we might just have a look at the Not My Story. And I've lost my pen. Oh, have I lost my pen? No, here it is here. Okay, so Not My Story. So this last one, a very dear friend had a massive crisis, really, more than an existential crisis in a way. And I've been providing as much as I can in my own small way support for that. I'm not sure that we'll ever really explore that on this channel, because this is not my story. But of these 3 things here, which are pretty big, this one here is by far the biggest, and has soaked up a lot of time and energy to provide, as I said, as much support as I humanly can in the circumstances. So there's 4 good reasons why I have been MIA for the last couple of months. I hope to be posting more frequently now that things seem to be on an even keel for most of these things. Some of these are ongoing, of course, but we'll do our best. Please be as forgiving as you can. I'd love to hear your stories in the comments as well. So if you've gone through any of these, or you'd like to explore any of these in more depth, please let me know. Thank you for seeing this one out, and that is the circuit working. Catch you next time.